Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.
Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Jean Till, and on today's show, we're visiting with Father Max Carson and Father Reed Flood, Associate Directors of Vocations and Chaplain at St. Albert and Dowling. And Bishop, you're not going to get a word in edgewise.
I don't think so. I'm looking forward to just turning it over here to the dynamic duo. They take their show on the road easily.
That's right.
But they've taken it to Panora, to the Catholic Youth Camp, St. Thomas More Center. We'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But here we are on the Feast of St. Aloysius Gonzaga, that great saint, a young man, precocious in his holiness, lived at the end of the 16th century, on the cusp of the Council of Trent and everything else, became a Jesuit, and while a student still, died caring for victims of a serious epidemic. So gave his life early on, but again, rapidly moved to what Jesus needed him to be and was canonized in 1726. So kind of patron of all young people, but particularly I think those aspiring to give their lives not only to God, but to the church as well. So thankful for Father Max's and Father Reed's vocations. We are coming up on the Feast of Corpus Christi, and we know that several places have already either had, like St. Augustine in Des Moines, their Corpus Christi procession. Corpus Christi in Council Bluffs has a grand procession. Memories of the Eucharistic Congress last year, Jean, that we were both part of. We did a show from. But I'll actually be at St. Patrick in Neola for confirmation. It's the last one of the season before we pause a little bit, so I'll be a little wistful there.
How long is that pause? Like 2 weeks?
Maybe till September. But and then looking forward and next Monday, the Nativity of St. John the Baptist. Tuesday, we'll be celebrating with the Christian Family Movement, the Hispanic Christian Family Movement. Beautiful. Very building up the domestic church among our friends at Christ the King and other parishes, and advancing in their levels of spiritual maturity and supporting each other's spouses. So stretching me a little bit again in Spanish, but there you go. So, and I'm going to be working with a tutor in the month of July, trying to loosen those Spanish muscles in my tongue and in my brain. So,
¿Cómo está?
Muy bien, but
now I'm done.
Hopefully it'll be better. So, but it will be great to celebrate that feast with them also. So, welcome, Father Reed Flood, Father Max Carson, taking time. What is probably a very intense days for you with the young people, but bringing your own infectious joy and your passion and zeal and good humor, all things together. So, something kind of new this year to have two priests present for the most of all the weeks of Catholic Youth Camp. So, how did that come about, and how's it going so far? Are you still on good terms with each other?
I think so, yeah. It's still pretty good. I mean, Father Max and I met him while altar serving a school mass, and we were both joking around, like, in our server robes, thinking, oh, man, like we're probably never going to be priests someday, but who knows, maybe we will. And now we're both priests together.
So that thought danced through your mind even then, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Christy Chief was like, you boys need to take off your castics before you go to class. We're just walking around, goofing around in them. And now we can walk around Dowling with our castics on.
And nobody can tell you.
That's right.
That's right.
It was like second skin even then, all right? Yeah. So,
I'm excited both of you guys are going to be at Catholic Youth Camp, because my grandson is going to go. I only have one grandson, and he's going to be at Catholic Youth Camp.
Yeah.
And, I don't push him to the priesthood. He's just 11, but... when he talks about, I want to do computers, I'm like, like Blessed Carlo Hocutis, and, just, planting those seeds. And so now I have 2 more seeds that I can plant with him.
Yeah.
Whatever God wants is fine, but, you don't want them to.
So I will not be blessed to have him serving at the altar at the cathedral at daily mass on Wednesdays.
No, because I'm going to be watching them on Tuesdays and Thursdays this summer, not Monday and Wednesdays.
Got it. So,
yeah. But they'll be serving you when you are at St. Teresa's for our 75th anniversary. Both Drew and Maddie will be altar servers that day.
Yeah, that's a week from today, so looking forward to that. So, Father Max and Father Reed, we're looking forward to hearing more what happened from those days of serving and how it all unfolded for you, and kind of how you view yourself in the kind of distinctive role. It's a special ministry that you're offering to the good young people and the team there, the counselors and others. So, Gene, I guess it's time for me to turn it to you.
It's that time for a break. When we return, we will continue visiting with Father Max Carson and Father Reed Flood. They're Associate Directors of Vocations for the Diocese and, respectively, chaplains at St. Albert High School and Dowling Catholic High School. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. And on today's show, we're visiting with Father Max Carson and Father Reed Flood, Associate Directors of Vocations for the Diocese of Des Moines and chaplains at St. Albert Catholic School in Council Bluffs and Dowling Catholic in West Des Moines.
And that's not the only cat you wear, Father Max. As I was in Council Bluffs recently, just kind of looking at the bulletin there, you also are assigned at St. Patrick Parish, one of the flourishing parishes in the Council Bluffs area. There was a kind of a bulletin column where you were kind of explaining why you were going to be gone from the parish for an extended period this summer. What was up with that?
Yeah, Father Joel, he recommended I tell the people why I'm going to be gone for 2.5 months, which is always a good thing to do. And I really wanted to hit home that we have a mission as a parish to really cultivate vocations. So I gave them the numbers of right now, what's going on. 80 parishes, 79 priests, 39 of which are priests from other countries here to help us out. And we need to become more spiritually healthy so we can start getting enough priests of our own to minister to our own diocese. So it's kind of like a call, like, okay, how can we as a parish do this? Well, pray, fast, come back to confession, do works of mercy. Just living the Christian life intentionally will really get these vocations going for our own diocese.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So, as it were, a kind of spiritual sacrifice on the part of the people who certainly appreciate you and love your ministry, your preaching, and all that's there, but kind of tithing you to something greater for the sake of the diocese and the larger church. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, and dispelling any tongues that might, Father's away for an extended period. I wonder what's up with that. You know?
Some vacation. Gee, it's a long vacation.
Yeah, why does he get such a long vacation?
Yeah.
That's just quieting the other priests, right?
Yeah,
you were just saying that. How come he gets such a vacation? Yeah.
Bishop plays favorites. Yeah, that's the way it is. So, Father Reed, your experience of Catholic Youth Camp, you've been present for various times, and so now you got to collaborate. You get to collaborate with somebody, but there's a broader team that you both work with, isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah, we're really blessed with a really vibrant staff here at Catholic Youth Camp. There's about 25 college students who are living a good Catholic life. They come back here over the summer, and they spend this time really as a pilgrimage experience. We begin every day with adoration of the Blessed Sacrament together as a staff. We have lauds, morning prayer, Mass, Holy Sacrifice of the Mass every day, and all the staff members, they assist with putting it on, accompanying the students. When we're full, about 160 students every week, campers, I should say. Mm-hmm. And for me, there's been a tremendous joy to not only administer, obviously, to the campers, but in a special, particular way to the staff members, because they're the ones who will be here in and out, day in, day out. So to accompany them in their own faith journey, offering the sacraments to them, spiritual direction, it's been really special. And now with there being 2 priests here at the camp, right, like there's a wisdom, right, of sending them out in twos. So for Father Max and I, there's a joy, like a multiplication of joy with both of our priestly witnesses being offered to the camp.
Oh, that's wonderful. And there are dedicated times for confession, but spontaneous requests for the sacrament? All right? All the
time. And this is something that's been a beautiful phenomenon that I've even observed while being a chaplain at Dowling. While there's been an increase of Eucharistic devotion to adoration, but also to the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass. I mean, the percentage of participants at Mass at Dowling went up 25% just even this last year. And I think providentially, the uptake in confessions has also gone up. Both of those sacraments go hand in hand. Just a regular encounter with the merciful, loving face of Jesus. And there's a tremendous beauty that the staff members are able to own that and freely, willingly seek it out. So everything from right before Mass, you're hanging out and you're at a picnic table bench, or if you're just walking back from the field, oh, hey, Father, can I grab a confession? Absolutely.
Grab a confession, huh?
Yeah.
We had that reading in 1 Corinthians a couple weeks ago. In Christ, God is not saying yes and no. His yes is in him. And so your yes to those requests is Jesus is always open and turned to receive people, as you say, enfolding them in his mercy. And, kind of the depth of awareness, the more we go to confession, the fine and subtle character of sin, not necessarily the glaring things that, we do that maybe have physical enactment, but just even the dispositions of the heart. And so we become more attuned to that and realizing at the same time how much God's grace is irrigating us, and we're there. Of course, you guys are sharing a residence this summer, I understand, through the generosity of someone who's supporting of the camp. Does that require occasions for you where you each have to go to confession? Or
We're on the radio, Bishop. We should.
That's internal forum. I won't go there.
Not really confession, but steak sales. Yeah, we're just going to make steak all the time.
You both love to cook, don't you? I mean, you're both
yes.
Accomplished chefs. North American College honed some of those skills. And by the way, you're both celebrating anniversaries of ordination this month of June, are we not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What are the dates for
4 years?
Wow, that's remarkable.
Can't believe it. June 25th.
Yeah.
June 25th. Wow, it's coming up next week. So, I hope there's an added layer of whatever, festive occasion for you both. So, and we're better to be than among the young people. Do you see, are some, Jean was saying, maybe her grandson not immediately warmed to the idea of going to camp, but he'll warm up to that. Mm-hmm. But is part of it just kind of quieting the anxieties just by your presence and just befriending the young people in that respect, and the stresses and anxieties that we sometimes induce in ourselves? Father Max.
Yeah, I've seen that especially with. Last week was our first week, half week, and 2 St. Albert students came. It's their first time at camp, first time leaving their parents for that long. Mm-hmm. And I remember catching them in the check-in line, and they were so scared, but then once they saw a familiar face, then for me to see some of my students here, it was a great experience of spiritual fatherhood to see their anxiety melt away just because, oh, Father's here. Mm-hmm. And then to take that to the spiritual life, the Father is always present. Our anxieties can always melt away, even if there's not a familiar face. So that was very spiritually enriching for, I think, both of us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to be able to see you both in a different light. I mean, you're not always wearing cassocks or even clerics as you're making your way around the camp.
Right.
Hopefully not on the zip line.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, I mean, Father Reed, you have perfected the backflip with the clerics on, but do you prefer to do more loose-fitting clothes?
Yeah. Cat's out of the bag on that one, Bishop. Where
already
everyone here, they're already asking. They go, Father Flo, can you please do a backflip? Like, well, hey, I gotta get warmed up first. I'm 30. I'm a grown man now. It's gonna take a little bit longer.
Yes, we don't need you needing orthopedic assistance here. So.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Is it hard for you both? I mean, when you're in your groove at Dowling and at St. Albert, you have a rule of life, right? Do you have to kind of recalibrate that individually when you come to something like a summer experience?
Yeah, it's actually been a great transition. Because the way the schedule works here, we have exposition of the Blessed Sacrament from 7 to 7:30 for one staff, and then exposition and benediction at 8:30 to 9:30 for another staff. So prayer is built in, and they do morning prayer, and so we just kind of hopped right on. It is a little bit of a change getting up a bit earlier, but no, that's been A-okay. It's been a great transition.
Wonderful. Yeah. You began, I understand, with the staff had a retreat experience that our own Father Alex Kramer offered to you all. How was that?
Yeah, the retreat was a beautiful time for the staff. I've heard back from many of them that they were able to start the summer off on a good note, going through the various themes that you will encounter, right, as a staff member here at camp. It was really catered to show them that they are pilgrims on this year of pilgrimage, the staff accompanying all the students. So communicating the themes to them from living in community life, right, what that looks like, and as well as living a regular sacramental prayer life at camp, because, you can't give what you do not have. So the prayer, it gives us access to God's divine, infinite love. So we're able to then pour that back out to our students. And also, too, just how do you be healthy, right, at camp, right? Take care of yourself, be prudent, don't stay up super late. Just taking care of those basic pillars of human formation, the various dimensions of human formation. And Father Kramer, who is beloved dearly here at camp, a little camp celebrity, even, as canon lawyer, right? Like his JLC, but he's doing so good with the staff members whenever he comes out here.
Yeah, I mean, the former Eagle Scout, right? I mean, I love to hear that because he presents himself seriously, because he's a thoughtful, earnest, holy young priest. But that side where the kids just gravitate toward him, that's infectious. That's beautiful. So, and likewise the staff also. So, I don't know about you all. My years working with college students, and when we had masses into the evening and things, there's a kind of an adrenaline rush and things, and this guy is an introvert, so I still need to unwind. So that pushes it well into the evening, where another couple hours after mass concludes, I'm still just trying to kind of dial it down so that I can get night's rest.
Sleep,
so is that an issue for either of you? Father,
I'm pretty extroverted, so
the switch just flips. Then,
we've been really blessed to have a regular. I mean, maybe this is the European company. You mentioned, studying overseas for a bit, but we have a built-in siesta where Father Max and I, we wake up early, we get after it, accompanying the camp basically from 6:30 in the morning till around 1 p.m. Then we're able to actually retreat back to our residence where we can, take naps, right, where you can take care of yourself. But what's been a tremendous blessing for me is to have this common, just this common shared life, and even the cooking and even the meals. Father Max and I will get together, and we've been able to share lunch and dinner pretty much every single day and just review the camp, talk about the various campers and staff members, who we're praying for, who we're encouraging, and that's been the top of conversation. But also to maintain our regular formation. So studies as well too, to have a good rigorous study habit, to pray, to take care of ourselves naturally, so we can be conduits supernaturally. It's been a great thing to hang out and to do that with Father Max.
Well, your practical wisdom in that, and the fruits of being formed, that this is just ingrained in you as a habit. This isn't a yoke that's imposed on you. It's who you are now. And your mention of the nap, my staff certainly knows I'm a big believer in the reposo, the power nap of 20 minutes where I just disappear. And if need be, I'm on the road. I can even pop into a church and in the pew and just kind of rest in the Lord for 20 minutes. So I'm glad that's something you're able to weave into your lives also. Jason Anderson, the director of the St. Thomas More Center, I think has done a wonderful job kind of integrating, identifying with our overall diocesan vision of cultivating connections in Christ through encounter, friendship, and communion. And Catholic Youth Camp is a wonderful manifestation of that. And, that faith and friendship, these are the things that are sown in the very accelerated time that young people are there. Do you see friendships being formed not only among the staff, but among the young people that maybe, people who are not part of their homies at home, that those connections happen?
Yeah, I remember yesterday we're playing volleyball, and volleyball with elementary kids, not much volleying going on, but the ball's just kind of hitting whoever it hits. So it unfortunately hit this little girl in the back of the head. And this other girl, about 2 years older, she didn't know her at all. She just came and she gave her a hug and just held her head for a little bit. And then she got some magic water from the nurse. We have magic water here at camp.
Not lured water. Lure's water. No.
Not lure's water. But, they didn't know each other at all. But this one camper saw another camper hurting. And so she's like, you know what? I can just go comfort her right now. And that was beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. In the maternal side, even at that age. So that's wonderful.
You know, Bishop, years ago when my daughter went to Catholic youth camp, she was with Guthrie and John Leonetti. Guthrie Dolan and John Leonetti.
Now Father Guthrie Dolan.
Now Father Guthrie and John had gone into seminary. But, you know, it's like they didn't go to school together. She was in Indianola, but because they went every year, senior camp, they, became friends. And then when she started taking photos of the seminarians at the diocese, it's like, oh, well, John, Guthrie, hey, how you doing? And it's like to have that relationship with the priest or, a former seminarian, I think it's so powerful that you see their lives evolve and how they've grown. And I think that's important for all young people to see that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And John Leonetti, obviously kind of an evangelizer, gives a lot of missions and parish talks and everything else. And he'll say before he entered formation what a hot mess he was. So
we know.
His spiritual director had a lot of work. That's all I'm saying, but ultimately discerning that he's called to be a family member and a father. Mm-hmm. So as we celebrate Father's Day last week, so a wonderful thing. So, but we'll look to continue with our spiritual fathers here, who are kind of the repartee and the dynamism, the spirit definitely flowing between them.
When we come back, we will continue that conversation with Father Max Carson and Father Reed Flood, Associate Directors of Vocations for the Diocese of Des Moines and chaplains at St. Albert and Council Bluffs and Dowling Catholic here in West Des Moines. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. Welcome back to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen.
Just enjoying this conversation with these two wonderful young priests, and maybe, I don't know if it gets old being called a young priest, I think you're moving beyond the baby phase, that some, in a somewhat condescending way, but with great affection. Father Max, we want to definitely give a shout out for something coming up on the month of August, the Concert for Life at the Bel Air Ballroom on August 4th with Father David Michael Moses, yourself, and an all-priest band. Tell us what this event is, and it's going to be on the Memorial of St. John Vianney, the patron of all parish priests. What a great day to be in the Diocese of Des Moines.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. So back in 2012, Father David Michael Moses and his parents, back when he was a seminarian, they've always been a part of the pro-life movement in the Diocese of Houston-Galveston. He's very much a musician. He writes all the songs for the Concert for Life. He started writing songs all the way back then and would perform to then help raise money for local women's pregnancy centers around his own diocese. As this grew, he started to invite other priests that are musically inclined to fill in the band. So it wasn't just a solo act, but a whole band to play with. And so, what was it, like 3 years ago? It was the first time I played with them in Houston. Last year was the first time we ever went on tour, all in Texas. I'm the only Iowa guy. The rest of the guys are from Texas. And then this year, we're bringing the tour to our very own diocese to help raise money for all the women's pregnancy centers in the diocese. So yeah, Monday, August 4th, Valor Ballroom, 7:30 to 9. The staff has actually put up posters around camp with the QR code to get tickets and stuff. So
good. And
really
tickets are $10 each. I'm sure they would accept donations greater than that.
I'm sure, but that's
no
reasonable.
one should stay away if that's a little bit beyond their means at this point. Open to all ages and family friendly. So what a wonderful thing. And see these priests rock out. That would be wonderful. So, but you're not going to be the Blues Brothers, and both of you, but how you come across.
I'll leave to Father Max.
Yeah. You're saying that obviously this is intensive. You have periods of the day woven in to be restored, but how this is just building you up in your own priesthood, Father Reed. Is this something that you're not being tapped out by this, but the cup is being replenished?
Yeah. What sticks out to me is the prayer of St. Francis: in giving we receive. And particularly, I've been really fortunate that my first years of priesthood have been formed directly by Catholic Youth Camp, which has an extensive history in our diocese, and to see that there's a tremendous vitality. And sometimes maybe a critique can be, and you hear this sometimes, it's, when priests, or when we look at the church, we can just think that it's an aging church. But yes, she's ever ancient, but she's ever new. And particularly with our theme, reflecting on the Virgin Mary, right? Pilgrims of Hope. Our camp chapel, or rather our camp patron is Mary, Star of the Sea. To see this eternal youthfulness brought up in the church. So for me to see that the priesthood and even the fatherhood, right, of God the Father has a vitality, it has this vigor, it has this youth to it that is constantly pouring out its life. So with there being two priests here at the camp, it doesn't follow the regular logic of relationship. It's like 1 + 1 = 10. So to bask in that, right, and to play on that multiplication has been so good.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the key things for myself in my own life, that seeing my late uncle, Father Ralph Symington, how he interacted with other priests, and the joy, the humor, you could not have any pretense because it would be punctured right away, if you took yourself too seriously. So hopefully that'll be one of the infectious things, because you're not on the prowl here, whereas we winded in the last 30 seconds here. Not, you should be a priest, you should be a priest, but just being who you are, that's the witness. Hopefully it'll open some young men's hearts. Father Max, yeah.
No, amen. I remember a priest.
In the last 15 seconds here, Father Max. So.
Yes. Hey, guys, you're not human doings, you're human beings. And so by the way we can evangelize the best we can.
Yeah, so, and both of you are creative guys, and your creativity and your ministry amplified many times over. May the souls rejoice in the Lord for yours dedicated servants. Thank you for your fidelity to your priesthood, and many more graces in this summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Bishop.
Praise God.
This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thanks to our guests and to all of our listeners throughout Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, or wherever you may be listening to the Iowa Catholic Radio Network and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Support for Iowa Catholic Radio and Making It Personal is provided by Sarah Vocations Ministry. Learn more at joinserra.org.